Welcome back to Management Made Easy. 2 years ago, a student who had worked for 10 years came to me for advice. He was facing a new job choice, but was unsure what to do. The first option was to move from being the head of a branch office to a leadership position in a functional department at the headquarters, which would be considered a promotion within his system. The second option was to join another company in the same industry, where he would be given full responsibility for a new business area with a higher rank. He was torn between the two and came to ask for my opinion. We conducted a thorough analysis from various angles. In this lesson, I'll share how we analyzed his personality traits. This lesson is very important. Why? Because personality trait analysis is one of the key factors in career decision-making. I've always believed that the profession someone should pursue, whether they should be a generalist or a specialist, whether they should follow a professional or a comprehensive management track, all depend on their personality traits. I'll explain this in detail in this lesson. So, what are personality traits? Personality traits are the unique characteristics and temperament of an individual. They distinguish one person from another in terms of personality. For example, some people tend to view things with optimism, while others are naturally more confident when facing problems. Similarly, some people are more sincere at their core, and when faced with problems, they feel motivated to find solutions rather than avoid them. These are all examples of personality traits. Research on personality traits has been ongoing for decades, and many traits have been repeatedly studied by scholars. Although scholars haven't reached conclusive findings on many aspects, some intermediate results have valuable insights that can guide our career choices and behavior patterns. Some scholars divide personality into two categories: internal locus of control and external locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe that the outcomes of situations are a result of their own abilities and behaviors. Their intuition tells them that if they put in the effort, they can control the situation. On the other hand, people with an external locus of control tend to think the opposite. When they encounter problems, they often believe that the outcomes are beyond their control and that the surrounding environment is too complicated. In other words, when the same situation occurs, a person with an internal locus of control would think, "Don't panic. Take your time. I don't believe I can't find a solution." A person with an external locus of control might also try to solve the problem, but after a few attempts would seek help from higher-ups or others. So if you have an external locus of control trait, you should look for stable jobs and roles when job hunting positions with more routine tasks and standardized operating procedures. When issues arise, there should be clear guidelines or standards to support your actions. On the other hand, if you have an internal locus of control trait, you should seek out challenging work where your proactive tendencies will be put to good use. For people with internal traits, the ability to handle challenges is the key to showcasing their talents and advancing to higher positions with more complex responsibilities. Now, let's return to my student's situation. Since I knew him well and understood his past development, I believed he was more of an internal locus of control type of person. However, I rarely make decisions for others. Instead, I helped him clarify the situation. I asked him to think about the person he wanted to become 10 years from now. And I also told him that based on his personality traits, I thought he was someone with an internal locus of control. I suggested that he take both factors into account and make his own decision. In the end, he chose the second option, leaving his old company to take on a more challenging and comprehensive role in the new company. In hindsight, his choice turned out to be the right one. Recently, we chatted about his journey, and he recalled that, after my suggestion, he realized that he was indeed a typical internal locus of control person. All the important milestones in his past career had involved new, challenging roles where he could excel. If he had chosen to move up at the headquarters, the routine work might have limited his ability to leverage his personality strengths. So, he chose to join the new company. Though he was unfamiliar with the new environment, he had strong support from senior leaders, and he was the one overseeing the entire project, which gave him plenty of opportunities to shine. As I mentioned earlier, our course progresses from simple to more advanced concepts. Now let's elevate the theory a bit. Why should we make good use of our personality traits when making career choices? Let me give you an example, introducing our two decision-making circuits, the instinct circuit and the thinking circuit. For example, if you're walking down the street and a car suddenly speeds towards you, your first reaction is to dodge. This happens because the instinctive neural circuit in your consciousness system takes priority. After the car passes, whether you choose to hold back your anger or shout at the driver is the second decision, made by your thinking circuit. The second circuit reacts more slowly, because if it reacted faster than the instinctive defense circuit, you'd be in trouble. In a dangerous situation, if your first reaction is to think about whether to shout rather than to run, you'd likely not survive. So, escaping is instinctive. Shouting is a rational choice. When you understand these two circuits of human behavior, you can see the significance of utilizing your personality traits. Because if the work you choose allows you to fully tap into your personality traits, most of the time, your actions will be as instinctive as dodging a car quick and natural, while others may need to rely on their rational system and deliberate thinking. Others may need to weigh their options carefully, while you can act immediately based on instinct. All your psychological activities will be coherent, which can give you a career advantage that others cannot match. So, understanding your personality traits and choosing the right management style or job helps you maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, pushing your instinctive strengths to the extreme. Now, let's dive into the latest research. People with an internal locus of control tend to express dissatisfaction when they are unhappy with their job, working conditions, colleagues, or even their superiors. They will make an effort to change things openly, and sometimes even threaten to quit. However, the intention to quit does not always translate into actual action, and this is supported by statistical data. In the process of trying to change their environment, they may end up offending many people. Even if they don't quit, their future at work is often not smooth sailing. People with an internal locus of control tend to rely on their abilities and are less concerned about maintaining relationships with colleagues. Therefore, when facing problems, if they can shut off their instinct circuit and activate their thinking circuit to consider the feelings of others' meaning. When they are trying to change their surroundings, they avoid offending too many people, they will be far more effective. Once someone with an internal locus of control becomes dissatisfied with their pay or promotion opportunities, the likelihood of them turning their intention to quit into an actual resignation is much higher. This is also supported by statistical evidence. So if you're a leader, be aware that people with an internal locus of control are more likely to quit voluntarily, while those with an external locus of control are more likely to wait for a conversation with leadership before accepting the reality of being laid off. You might have some doubts, wondering if only people with specific personality traits can achieve great things. Let me reassure you, that's not the case. Personality traits are simply individual characteristics. There's no good or bad trait. For example, we're all familiar with the big three: Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent. The leaders of these companies have very distinct personalities and are completely different from one another. I have a friend who had the opportunity to observe these three leaders in the same setting. They were all sitting at the same podium in front of a crowd, yet their behavior was strikingly different, revealing their unique personality traits. Jack Ma, for instance, is very outspoken. No matter who is speaking, he engages loudly with the leaders next to him. My friend described him as completely indifferent to others. He didn't care how other people reacted. On the other hand, Robin Lee is the complete opposite. He sits quietly, absorbed in his own world, rarely interacting with anyone next to him, and often gives off the impression of being a deep thinker. Pony Ma falls somewhere in between. He's reserved, but occasionally engages in simple communication with those beside him. Despite their completely different personality traits, this didn't stop each of them from achieving great success in their respective fields. In this lesson, I've shared the concept of personality traits with you. The purpose of this course is to encourage you to recognize your own personality traits and leverage your strengths effectively. This is Management Made Easy. See you in the next class.